August 1st. We're going to start on page 78, Mahalla Chautha, Gar Duja.
So in our last sitting, we were getting the message, कर्म धरती शरीर जुग अंतर जो बोवे सो खात कहो नानक भगत सोहे दरबारे मनमुख सदा भवात. And the message was that this body is like a field, the land, in which a farmer can put a seed in and nurture the seed, take care of it. Eventually it will turn into a fruit which he can then enjoy. But those who don't, then what happens? You say, well, the land remains barren. Nothing grows up in it because there was no seed to begin with. And that causes all kinds of problems. Those who do it, kaho nanak bhagat sohe darware. Bhagat are the one who are listening to the message and doing something about it. Manmukh sada bhavat. And those who are paying only attention to their own mind and not pay attention to what is being expected out of them, then they stay in the cycle of life and death. Sada bhavat. Bhavat literally means to come and go, come and go. So, the same thought is now carried forward in Shri Rag Mahalla Chautha Gar Duja Shant. Ekyamkar Sadguru Prasad. Understand the purpose of the title is to tell the time frame. The hymn came during the time frame of fourth master. Gar Duja literally means the rhythm, the beat, and chant means the type of poem it is.
Chant means type.
It is a style of poetry. Just as Paudi is a style of poetry, Shloka is a type of poetry. Same way, Shant is a type of poetry. And the message continues. There is a link between what? Mund Eianni Peyarhey. Mund literally means Mugad. Literally means the one who is not completely aware, is not completely alert. Mugd Eianni. And Eianni means someone who's naive. Mund Eianni Peyarhey. Peyarhey means the house of your father, where you took birth. Pekaghar. Mund Eianni Peyarhey. Kyun kar har darshan pikh hai? How can you attain to that state of mind-body's evolution? How can you do that? Unless you pay attention to what is being instructed to you. If you don't do that. Now the reference is, now from here onward, few of the hymns are going to be taking the metaphor of father's house and father-in-law's house. And the metaphor is going to be addressed to the female, because Bani considers all souls to be feminine and the only one masculine energy that is the highest. So don't confuse that this is being lectured to the woman. Okay? Because Gurbani says, Eka Purkh Sabai Nar. There is only one male energy. Why is that metaphor so important? And that we need to understand. It's not a male-dominated society, that's why it is being said. Feminine energy is receptivity. Why? Because it has to take the seed and hide it for a time being. Unless the seed sprouts and become into a plant. Until then, feminine energy has to protect the seed. A very common example, when you plant something in your garden, and if that seed is right on the ground or right on the surface, nothing happens to it. The only thing that can happen to it is a bird can pick it, or an animal can trample it, or wind can blow it away. Seed has to go deep inside the ground. Having said that, it is not enough to dig something whole and put the seed in. It is also important not to keep disturbing it again and again. Very, very valuable point. You cannot go every day in the morning and take a little shovel and pick up the seed and say, well, something happened. No, okay, put it back there. That seed will never sprout. Look at the laws of the nature, right? It is something that you may or may not have paid attention to. There is a lot of energy of negative nature in humanity because of the laws of monogamy. Human mind-body system gets very disturbed when they discover that the laws of monogamy has been violated. And the nature cares of that law at only one place, and nature implements it. Ever thought about it? Where the nature takes care of the laws of monogamy. Think of the moment when the conception takes place. The moment the sperm and the egg meets and it implants itself in the uterus, what happens? Everything shuts down. No more eggs and no more sperms. End of discussion. Nobody can disturb that environment, no matter what they do. That's the law of monogamy. That's where it is to be protected, and nature does it. It doesn't let you disturb it. It has to stay there intact without being looked at again, without being disturbed, without being done anything. It protects it. Same thing happens to the ground. A seed goes in, it remains there if it's going to become a plant. So the feminine energy, being receptivity, once it is protecting the seed, the mobility and activity and everything comes to support that seed. Hence, the rest of the circle moves because of the male energy. That's a law of the nature. because the rest of the activity cannot stop and has to be taken care of while the seed is being protected and seed is growing. And the rest of the cycle goes on. That's why male energy becomes the doer. And hence, Karta Purakh, the only male energy. The rest of us all, feminine. Means what? Even when in the male body we are busy doing our thing, who's watching the rest? He's watching. Just as when a female is nurturing the child, who's taking care of the rest? The male is. That is why the metaphor in Gurbani, when it refers in she terms rather than he terms. It's not a sex mistreatment or misjudgments or denouncing. That's not the case. Majority of the people get stuck into it, and the modern girl will say, well, everything is being said to the woman. There's no role for the man. No, on the contrary. Gurbani does not recognize, regardless of the body, any male on this earth. And if you read Gita, Krishna says exactly the same. I am the only male. So there's nothing new in it. So the metaphor we will continue. That's why I'm spending some time. Peyarhey, Peka Ghar, house of your father, where you grew up. So what is the metaphor? If the girl in the house of the father is not following the proper instructions being given by the parent, when she goes to the in-laws' house, instead of harmony, she is going to create a disharmony. Okay, now that's a physical example. So the earth, how is this our Peka Ghar? Who's our father here? The Guru, the teacher, the master. He's the father. We are learning from the father. And he is teaching us the characteristics that will make us acceptable to the husband when we go there. The question is, have we developed that talent that he would say, come stay with me, you don't need to go back to your father's house? Because that is the tradition, may not be here, but in Punjab, for centuries in India, that has been the tradition. If the husband and wife do not get along, what is the course of action? Go back to your father's house. That's it. Now the problem with that model then is that a girl cannot stay forever in the father's house. So then what happens? The father, understanding the issue, calls some mediators and so forth. They get together, they call them, and then they negotiate and eventually apologize on girl's behalf, and then tell girl not to repeat these mistakes and send back. Now, if she does not get the lesson up, guess what? If after a few days, the cycle is going to start again and she's going to come right back. Now, we can see the parallel here in that metaphor very well. If we sit in the feet of the Guru and he says, do this if you want to be accepted by the husband, the Lord, and we don't do that, so we go there, he says, looks at it and says, well, you haven't developed the characteristics, go back. So come back to the earth again. Right? That's why that metaphor is being used here in that sense. Mund Eianni Peyarhey kyun kar har darshan pikhe. Oh naive, O completely intoxicated being, how are you going to meet him? How is it possible? हर हर अपनी कृपा करे गुरमुख सहोरड़े कम सिखे. Those who are accepted there, they sahorade, those who went there, they had already learned kam sikhe. They had already learned what will make them acceptable to him. So what kam needs to be learned? Next line says, Sahorare kam sikhe har har sadate aaye. That was the come, that was the work that you needed to learn, which is har har sadate aaye. So come back to the job. Wherever there is a repetition of the word, that means job. If you haven't done that, what would happen? Sahiyan viche fire soheli har darge baha ladaye. If you are having fun here amongst your friends and forgetting your homework, sahiyan vich fire soheli, sahiyan literally sakhiyan, your girlfriends, if you are just having fun with them, running around, har darge baha ludaye, then there's going to be nobody who will hold you by the arm. Lekha dharm raye ki baki jap har har naam kirkhe. There's only one thing that is going to be counted, which is jap har har naam kirkhe. Lekha dharm raye ki baki. Now, dharmaraya literally does not mean there is a man with a long beard sitting down writing something down. It means the play of dharma, the game of dharma that you have been sent here to play. You didn't play. If you did play, it will be counted. If you did not play, it will not be counted. If it is counted, then Mund Eianni Peyarhey Gurmukh har darshan dikhe. That is the quality of the chants. Did you see the first line and the last line? First line says Kyun kar har darshan dis hai, and the last line says Gurmukh har darshan dis hai. It creates a metaphor and then it solves it. What was the first hypothesis? How are you going to meet? And the answer is Jap har har naam kirkhe. Get it into the job. If you do that, then that hypothesis that was started Kyunkar, that will get solved. The next is a hymn that is sung very, very commonly at almost every weddings. This is the end song. Once the ceremony is complete, all the ragis like to sing Vivah Hoa Mere Babala. I once was attending a wedding, and this particular ragi took the word Mere Babala, and he's literally made the sound as if he's crying, Mere Babala, Mere Babala. The girl is crying, saying Mere Babala. I mean, that's the height of ignorance. So, while he was singing, the mother was crying, the daughter was crying, the father was crying, and everybody was crying, and they're all sitting in the... I couldn't hold myself.
Okay, I was going to just ask, kya hua?
So I asked the father of the groom that I need to say something here. Anyway,
अरे excuse me, फिर क्या बोले आप?
the purpose of the wedding. What is a wedding according to this? And I told them that there is no reason for the Babel or the daughter or the mother to cry. Because if it is so sad a situation for you, then keep her.
That's not how it is. They're crying because she's leaving their home.
No, she's
And
not.
they're happy because
She's not leaving
getting
anything.
married.
She's not going anywhere.
She is.
It is just
Ignorance.
ignorance of the human mind.
Yeah, she is.
You went to college for 4, 5, 6 years studying. Was that the same story?
Yeah, my grandfather cried like heck.
Well, then they need to understand that that's the attachment. That's the moha. That's the negative energy. You need to transcend that.
I think that they have made a ritual out of this.
They have made such a
Ritual.
silly ritual out of it.
Silly.
Every community has. Every community.
Because somebody told me that in Rajasthan, when the girl is leaving the house, she has to remember, while crying, say every relative's name.
Oh my God.
If she forgets to name somebody while crying, the bond is broken for life.
Oh, how ridiculous.
Every chachi, every masi, every tai, every brother, every niece, nephew, she has to count them all while she's crying.
Poor girl.
पुलिस लेके कागज पे लिख के
So whatever. So the point I'm making is,
Yeah, it's a ritual. People have made it.
Mere Babula, Viva. Now this is a hymn which says, those who have followed what?
Good Mate.
Jap har har naam kirke. Those who have done that, they eventually meet their husband. Now, let me share with you why is this so upside down, the culture-wise. To turn the marriage into a sad event, and rather than celebrating the start of a new life and a new household, is actually expressing their condolences that this is happening. Why? Think of it. A daughter will never ever be a complete woman unless she leaves the house where she was brought up. We know in nature there are certain plants, they do not fully grow unless you pick them from where they were originally seeded. You know that, right?
and replant.
And then you pick it up from there. अरे पनीरी नहीं बनाई थी पता नहीं.
गंडे पनीरी हाँ
Gandhi paneer.
गंडे पनीरी that's
Only
good
farmers know that. I don't know that.
Now, you don't know anything in your home, little bit vegetable or things like that? Okay. There are plants, there are flowers, there are vegetables, which will, if you plant them and leave them there, they will not grow completely. You have to pick them from where they were planted and then take to a new soil and replant once they have become little grown. Okay, not full.
Roots.
Yeah, roots have taken, some leaves have come out. At that time, you pull them. That's all of the nurseries do business in that. They have those little pots and say, go plant in your home. Each one of those,
They did that already.
they planted it
That's
and
why
they
I
picked,
don't know.
they picked it up from a certain, and then they brought to the market.
That's why I don't know. They
Okay.
brought it from Devon.
A daughter is that type of a plant. It has to be uprooted from where the seed was and replanted somewhere for it to become a full female. If she stays at home, she will not grow. Hence this process of finding the land spot for that girl where she can become a woman. So that is not it is a law of the nature. It's not a man-made thing. We have turned into this as if it's a man and right? I mean, we have songs, O Kinna Jamiyan, Kinna Ne Le Janiyan. What stupidity. I mean, you want to keep it yourself? That's why this model needs to be honored and respected and celebrated, not condemned. So what is the model saying here? Who's the Babal here? The Guru, who taught, who nurtured the soul to a level where once getting detached from the body was able to experience the marriage with the ultimate. So this line is declaration of actualizing the experientially that highest level of energy. What it is saying? Vaya hova mere babla gurmukhe har paya. It is talking of a har paya. It's not talking of I am getting married to just one thing. Just one thing is not har. So there is no reason to cry. Vivah hova mere babla gurmukhe. With the help of Guru, I have been able to achieve that highest potential. Gurmukhe har paya. Agyan andhera katya gur gyan prachand balaya. What did Guru do? All of the illusions and confusions and the things, the type of question that you started asking, right? What does this mean? What does that mean? How do I complete my life journey? And Guru gave the right message. As you were asking, why is everybody now talking of spirituality? They are talking because so far the message has been completely wrong. It has not taken anybody to any level of a peaceful, loving existence on this planet. No matter who it is, there is no exception here. I don't care how great a particular Swami and a Sadhu and a priest and a Gyani and whatever. I don't care how large their organizations are. They are actually contributing to the dissatisfaction of the inner being. Mm-hmm. For a time being, you may be feeling very good from outer being, right? Mm-hmm. I have a friend who was a class fellow with me in Delhi, and he is on a very high stature in Radha Swami. So he was visiting here, and he called me that he's going to give a talk, and he's traveling first in Chicago, and then he's coming to San Jose, and then he's going to come to LA. And he said, since you are in California, I would like you to come and listen to the message. And I said, well, the schedule is not going to match, because when you are in LA, I'm in San Jose. When you are in San Jose, I'm in LA. So it's not going to work out. But let me ask you a very frank question. You spend all your life, as a matter of fact, he used to live in Amritsar, and now that organization has asked him to move to Bias, because he's senior enough to take over, blah, 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 blah. I said, okay, fine. You have risen in the organization quite high because of your dedication, because of your contributions. Tell me how you feel inside. He said, I feel good. I said, no, I didn't ask that question. Feeling good is an ego satisfaction because you are rising the hierarchy, you are getting promotion. I'm not talking about that good. Would you feel the same when you are confronting your maker? Well, who knows that? I said, I tell you, I know that. So what do you mean? I said, look, everything that you do, if you do with the touchstone of saying, how would he recognize it? What would he say about it? And if that decision says, yeah, I'm okay with that, I would not have to be ashamed if I'm asked the question, why did you do that? I'm at peace with that. Are you? Oh, I will have to think a little hard on that. I said, yeah. Why don't you do that? Because you are selling basic for membership. More the merrier. It's not leading to any spiritual evolution. It's not leading to any spiritual revolution. It's leading to the growth of the masses surrounding that environment. And you are the ambassador. Good luck to you. I'm not putting you down. I'm not condemning it. But what I'm sharing with you is that that's not my path. And that's what Gurbani is talking about here. He's saying, Agyan andhera katteya. What is the Agyan? Well, do this karm. Okay, fine. I do all those rituals. At the end of the day, what did I get? Well, I did what somebody told me. Well, it must be good. No, it must be good is a wrong thought process. You cannot put that responsibility on somebody else. You have to own that responsibility. And is it good? Believe me, ask yourself and you will know it. You will know it immediately. He will speak to you. He will tell you, yeah, you were here and the people said you spoke very great and you look very great and you blah, 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 blah. But when you come home, you close the door, sit by yourself and suddenly you are empty. There's nothing inside. But if it was good, you'll be a couple inches above the ground. You'll be floating. You'll be feeling lighter. Try it. That's the Agyan. That's because of the Agyan. Agyan always feeds the ego. Agyan can never ever cut the roots of the ego. Only Gyan does. Agyan andhera katteya. A true master will not hide anything from you and will put it, whether it hurts you, whether you like it, whether you don't like it, whether you accept it, you get mad or you get happy. It's totally irrelevant to the master. The truth will be announced. That's it. That's the only way. I shared with you the story of Bulle Shah. When, after 3 years of meditation and service in the company of his master, and on the 3rd year, he's trying to outsmart him. You know the story. He was sitting in a garden and felt hungry. And the garden has the fruit. He is feeling that since the owner of the garden is not around, if I take something, it will be stealing. So, sitting there, He looks at the tree, concentrates on the fruit, and the fruit falls down on the ground. So now this is on the ground, it's not owned by him, so he picks up the fruit and he eats it. He goes back and his master Anayat Khan asked him, why did you do that? And he says, did what? The moment he said, did what? Anayat Khan said, get out of my home and I don't want to see your face any longer. He just turned his back, faced the wall. He said, just get out. Said, but that was on the ground. No, it wasn't on the ground. You are trying to be smart. And there's no place for that type of smartness in spirituality. You used your power to pull that fruit down. And now you're trying to lie your way out of it. इसको कहते हैं चोरी और सीना जोरी. First you did it, now you are not admitting it. And then it took another 3 years of repentance and apologizing before he was accepted by Anayat Khan again. That's called turning the agyan into gyan. That's what a true master does. He gives you you will say cold-hearted and stone-hearted and uncompromising and unrealistic, impractical. You can put all those titles and master will take all of them. Don't we talk with the same thing here? Yeah, Gurbani says it, but it's impractical. Don't we say that all the time? How can you live in the world and just do all of this? And the Gurbani says, fine. Now you are outsmarting. It is the requirement. You cannot play with the words. You cannot be in a delusional or self-deception mode.
अब उसे भूख लगी थी, वहाँ पे फल है. Where could he have kept the money for it? There was no chance of that.
That's not the question. The question was, why did you do that? And he said, I didn't.
If he would have prayed and asked him...
No.
I
There's no.
was hungry. He would have
The
told
simple thing is,
Could I just take it?
I'm sorry, I was hungry.
Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah.
I know using your power is wrong at this stage. I'm sorry. I'll try to avoid it.
Okay.
Honest recognition of what the reality is and own it.
Most of us have problem with that. Yeah, true.
Every one of us. That's why we are so far away from spiritual revolution. That's what Agyan is. That's why I have repeated in this podium, between you and your God, there is no witness. There is no judge. There is no jury. There is no defense. There is no prosecutor. It's just you and him. So why are you playing games with him?
Adat pad gayi.
And that's the Agyan. That is the Andhera that needs to be removed. Agyan Andhera Katya. Why? Guru will not let you escape. If he lets you escape, if he makes an exception, he's not a Guru. In spirituality, there is no compromise. Not an iota of it. And you say, well, it makes the life impossible. No. It makes it inconvenient in a social environment. That's all. That's all. It's just inconvenience within the social world. If you are not willing to even pay that much price and you accept the reward to be with your husband of them all, God is the most jealous lover you will ever find. It is either this or nothing. There is no middle ground. And a guru will not let you choose a middle ground. Just this once. No, just this once. Come back the full cycle now. Agyan andhera katya gur gyan parchand. The word parchand is very important here. It is so sharp, it's so strong that it burns all impurities. Parchand balaya. Balya gur gyan andhera binasya har ratan padarath ladha. Once all the darkness is gone, what darkness? Darkness of the inside.
Ignorance.
Ignorance. There's a beautiful metaphor that a newly married girl came home and the mother-in-law, once everybody was ready to go to sleep, very lovingly said, "Bete, andhere ko maar de." She thought that some little creature is running around. She picked up a belana and whatever. She started hammering every pot in the house. So once she came back to bed and said, "Mom, andhera is gone." And then she said to the older one, "Bete andhera maar de." She got up, took the match and lighted a little candle and put in the side of the mother-in-law. The difference between a Eianni and an Eianni. Beautiful metaphor. उसको एक ही तरह का मारना आता था. That's what we do. We have only learned one way of looking at every word. And then we argue and we defend and we are ready to kill for it and die for it because that means only this. How can it be any different? And Gurbani is saying, for a Kayan, for a Jeevistri to marry the husband of us all, there cannot be an iota of ignorance left. Balya gur gyan andhera binasya. Not that it was just removed temporarily, binasya. It disappeared permanently. No more possibility of it coming back. Har ratana padarath lada. Now, because of that, what is the discovery? Ratan. Why is that used? Word Ratan, Hira. Do you know? Because it's the metaphor is of light. Now look at every lamp. Every lamp has a shadow below it. दिए तले अंधेरा होता है, right? Take a good sized diamond and put it on the table and try to find its shadow. It is impossible. That's the definition of a diamond. It has light 360 degrees around. There's never a shadow underneath it. That's why when Gurbani talks of Shabad, it says, it's a diamond, it's a ratan. There is no shadow, there is no darkness surrounding it anywhere. Har ratan padarth lada, how me rog gaya dukh lada. So what was the greatest malady causing all the problems to humanity? The ego. I am. मैं कुछ हाँ. That went away. आप आपे गुर मत खादा. So mat. The intellect is now not from me, not from the society, it is from gur. Gur mat khada. Akal murat var paya abanasi. Now look at this. I mean, it's mind-boggling to me that this hymn should be sung at the time of marriage. Just because there is a word vivah. It is saying, Akal murat var paya abanasi na kade mare na jaya. I am married to that one who is never going to die. Akal murat var husband, paya abinashi, one कभी नाश नहीं हो सकता. ना कदे मरे, never dies. Na jaya, never goes anywhere.
That's God.
That's God. And we are attaching this to a mere mortal who is 90% probability who will die before the wife dies. And we sing this and apply it there. Akal murat var paya vanasi na kade mare na jaya vivah hova mere babla gurmukhe har paya. Right? First line, the second line. Links with each other. The metaphor continues. Har sat satte mere babla har janmil janj sohandi. How did this wedding process started? This is that janj, the marriage party, group of people. Who were they? Who came to participate in that wedding? Harajan. Those who are already achieved a certain level of Harjan. उसके जन बन चुके हैं वो.
ज्ञानी हो गए.
Already ज्ञानी हो चुके हैं. Those are the one. Har sat satte mere babula. The truth is that my wedding procession consisted of Brahmagyanis. Jan mil janj sohandi. I mean, the beauty of that procession is indescribable. Pevakade har japi soheli which sohorade karik sohandi. Because in my father's house, Pevakade, what did I do? Har japa soheli. I did so much job. Soheli. I became beautiful from inside. Har jap soheli, which sahorade kari sohandi. So now on the in-law side, everybody loves me. Kari, pure. Sahore which khari sohandi jin pevakade naam samalaya. Those are the only one who are going to succeed in the house of their husband, who have used the time of living with the father and learning the right characteristics and practicing the right characteristics. Sab safalyo janam tina da gurumukh jinna. No, sab safalyo janam tina da gurumukh jinna man jin pasa talaya. Man jin. Jin literally means to win. Jit. Those who have conquered their own ego, conquered their own mind. Go tell it to any young woman that if you want your household life to be peaceful and beautiful,
शादी का procession is
no, the children are having fun, that's okay. They're playing their huh?
It's okay. Go on.
So
That was nice and bright. That's okay.
That's okay. It's just a little
the root cause of disharmony in every marriage is the clash of the ego between the woman and the man. There is absolutely no other reason. I can guarantee you, you take any argument, disharmony, and it will lead to the ego on both sides. And the funny thing is, it's not necessary who drops the ego first. The tension will go away.
true.
The problem is, each keeps on expecting the other to drop it. And they keep on holding the both ends.
I think in any argument, not necessarily husband-wife,
Of course.
in any fight.
Absolutely. There is a... But we are talking of this metaphor. That's why I am just using that. Husband-wife relationship, because that's the metaphor. The disharmony between a husband and wife is only because of the ego. And when you talk to them individually, they will say, well, I don't have an ego. It's only he.
The other party is wrong.
Other party is wrong. And the law of nature tells you that so long as both ends of the rope are held, the tension will be there. When they say, no, I'm not holding on to anything, well, then why there is a tension? Oh, it's because of him. There has to be equal resistance. The tension has to be same. That's an illusion that I am not contributing anything to it. पेव कड़े हर जप सोहेली विच सोहरड़े खरी सुहंदी सोहरड़े विच खरी सुहंदी जिन पेव कड़े नाम समालिया सब सफलियो जन्म तिना का गुरमुख जिन्ना मन जिन पासा टालिया मन नू जित के पासा ढालिया पासा ढालिया literally means to play the game. Topper? Yeah. Or you throw the chess or so pasa dhalya. Those who have understood, again, that's the agyan. Agyan leads to ego. Gyan leads to the egolessness. हर संत जना मिल कार्य होया वर पाया पुरख आनंदी हर सत सत मेरे बाबला हर जन मिल जंज सोहंदी वर पाया Purkhanandi. Who is the groom here? The husband of us all. And who is the judge? Those who are already walking on that path, are already there. Har prabhu mere babla, har devo daan mein dajo. See the metaphor again? Daj. The girl is going to go and the father is going to give her some daj, dahej, dowry. Now that's a daan. I say, well, what kind of daan? Father should give to the daughter. And that's what Guru did. Which is what? Har kapado, har soba devo, jit savre mera kajo. She's not asking the so many suits should be of the chenille and so many should be of the right? Don't we have those list of the different cloth types and so many suits of this nature, so many suits of this nature, so many dress and so many saris and so many this.
And not only for the bride but the family, all, everybody.
It's never an ending story. But what is this real daughter who is getting ready to marry the husband of us all? What is she looking for?
No.
Har kapdo, har sobha. All I need is the hari, the kapda. Hari should cover my body. Hari should become my shobha, means the shingar, the makeup. Har shobha devo, jit savre mera kajo, har har bhakti kaj suhela, gur sat gur dan devaya. So what is the dan? Har har bhakti. His meditation. Who was the guru? What is guru giving? He is the father. What he is giving to the daughter? The bhakti. Just as when the daughter is ready to leave the house, then if you are going to sit there and teach her, respect your father-in-law as your father, respect your sister-in-law as your sister, you think that's going to take roots? When all her life she's been singing and dancing, the mother-in-law is like this and the sister-in-law is like that and the husbands are like this and the men are like that. The whole life is full of the training which is completely anti-in-laws. No?
Yes.
Is Gurbani saying anything?
I didn't go through that process, so I don't know.
You don't know? You haven't gone through that?
Ignorance.
You haven't seen anywhere? Haven't heard anywhere?
I've seen it around, but I haven't personally.
Okay.
Wasn't taught that and didn't learn that.
Okay.
यहाँ एक प्रॉब्लम लगती है कि the bride is thinking about hurry and all that. शादी के दिन तो romantic mood में होते हैं. भगवान का कौन सोचेगा?
ये वो शादी नहीं है.
ये वो शादी.
No, you're right. You're right. I'm not trying to ignore your comment. It is a metaphor being used. That if the bride wants to take this message and reduce it down to the physical level and forget about God and is in a romantic mood and enjoyed the conjugal relationships, how good that experience is going to be if she is going to be demanding. If she is not surrendering, then how enjoyable that relationship is going to be. If she stands up on the first night and says, well, before we go anywhere, these are my conditions to live with you, even though my father has married you all with me. But I expect you to do this, and not that.
She did in that Jodha Akbar. She did
And
that.
she got what she wanted.
Yeah, she did that. She said, these are my conditions. Because
That's why they made a movie out of it, because it was such a rare thing.
Yeah. It's history. I mean, she did that.
Okay.
And I know we are not